But you never know that you could when you feel that way. Ain't it good, good dancing in the red and gold. Dancing in the red and gold.
How we doing?
Hey Faithful, welcome to the 49er Faithful UK Live. As always, I'm Paul Hope.
And I'm Nick Ludlam.
Well, Nick, best made plans and all. When I was preparing this show earlier today, I thought I won't start with my What's Up Faithful, because we all know our beloved 49ers lost again on Sunday night. This time, 31-17 to the Bengals. Left us heading into the bye week, second in the NFC West with a 5-3 record. And I thought there'd be nothing for us to talk about. And then about an hour ago, I started getting text messages. Now, when they're from non-Niner fans, I always double check that they're true. But what I'm going to start with tonight, Nick, is before we get into everything else, Chase Young, baby. What do you make of that?
Happy days. I mean, don't get me wrong. Okay, he's not had the greatest season last year. What was it? I've written it all down here. 9 games, 1.5 sacks, nothing spectacular. Season ended by a rather nasty injury. You know a lot about Paul. But if he can return to that rookie season, you're looking 15 games, 7.5 sacks, defensive rookie of the year, Pro Bowl, and the all-rookie team. If we get anything close to that kind of form, that is one epic player to be adding. And the cost, it's pennies. All we've given up to get Chase to get this young man is a third-round pick. Not just a third-round pick, a compensatory pick. Something that we don't even have yet. We're not actually losing anything. We still have all our picks, and we've just added another epic player on the D-line. If it gets anywhere close, I'll be over the moon. I don't know about you, mate. I want to use other words myself.
Well, as my good lady always says, put your phone down, Paul. Nothing could have happened. And tonight, everyone, I was able to say, we've traded for Chase Young. Now, Mayhew became the Commanders' general manager from the 49ers. We received the third-round compensatory pick. John Lynch has now sent Mayhew that third-round pick for one of the premier defensive players in the league. Talk about playing 4D chess. Now, I had seen some criticism of John Lynch earlier today, and me and you were sharing off air. If you go back and look at the trades that John Lynch has done since he's become GM, 2017 Jimmy Garoppolo, 2019 Sanders, 2020 Jordan Willis, 21 Charlie Boy, because I can't pronounce his surname, 2022 Christian McCaffrey, 2023 Randy Gregory, Chase Young. Now, to be fair, we have gone live at our usual slot on a Tuesday. I know there's about 3,000 other 49ers content creators gone live at the moment, but this is our slot. And Martin or Dawn, whoever's got the iPad, you do have to keep us updated, because before we did go live, there was rumours that there was going to be another one through the door. But the money, as my good friend Nick alluded to, is a $560,000 salary for this year. And as I was saying to our special guest who's waiting in the back room, that's right, everyone, we've got a special guest who'll be joining us in a little bit later. The way it plays out, even if we can't afford to re-sign him next year, we could actually get a compensatory pick back if he signs somewhere else. So we've effectively been given Chase Young for free. Now, I am loving, everybody, the Thanos gif with all the Infinity Stones. There's been a lot of talk of this pass rush. What can Steve Wilkes do to improve this defense? But Nick, as Paul Scrimshaw said there, he's got 5 sacks already this year. Every fan I've talked to in the last 48 minutes before we've come live is over the moon. So, buddy, while I catch up on some of the comments, come on. We've got to show the love for this signing, man.
It's a really, really good signing. Not just that, you're looking at the team. They have, with this kind of signing, they are telling the secondary, we trust you. This is a big vote of confidence now for the secondary. They need to perform, because they've gone and said, okay, the options were there. They could have gone and got, was it the lad from Chicago? I can't remember his name now. he's now not going anywhere. After a day having a little peep around, seeing what's available, he's not going in. They could have gone and got him. The Niners went, no.
Whoa.
Who is it? Who is it?
Hold your news there. If it no, hang on.
Oh, don't you?
Someone's trolling me. So it looked like Ian Rappaport. So Sean Muskie, if you're watching, you need to check your sources, buddy, because I'm not reading that one out because it looked like Ian Rappaport for Jalen Johnson, but it's not. It's an @ with a weird name. So sorry, Nick. I interrupted you mid-floor there because that is the name, Jalen Johnson, that a lot of people were talking for. I've heard rumours he wants paid. So at the moment,
he wanted big money, by all accounts. He wanted to be paid as one of the top 5 cornerbacks in the league. And that was before the trade could be ratified. By all accounts, there just simply wasn't the time to get it done from the sounds of things. It wouldn't surprise if we were in the market there and we were talking to him regarding that. But with all the logistics that were coming in behind, it was just too much to get a deal over the line from the sounds of it. Even if we were involved there, it was available. We could have upgraded the secondary. We could have done many, many things. But once again, the Niners have done what they want to do, and that is tool up on that defensive line. We lost some really big players. You mentioned a couple during the years we've traded in for, and Jordan Willis, Charles Omenihu, you got DJ Jones. There was a lot of players we lost in the last couple of years. And I don't really feel that they were sufficiently replaced. You know, we did lose a lot of depth. So perhaps adding on the D-line was the way to go. And I'm fine with this kind of trade. I really am.
I mean, to be honest with you, there was a lot of talk that the front 4 or the front 7 wasn't getting home. We talked about it at length on the pod last night. Steve Wilkes. I've seen other content creators talking about the fact that Wilkes is a DB coach. That's what he's known for. So in his head, he automatically defaults to setting the defense up to the strength of the secondary, like you've said there. The Bengals picked us apart. Let's make no bones about it. We can't gloss over that. And what makes your secondary better in this wonderful game of American football is if your pass rush can get home. Now, as Colin, good friend of the show, thanks for joining us, buddies. But there, Chase Young, in a contract year, no extra motivation required. Steve, totally agree with you. He'll make us better on third downs. And we saw on Sunday, Nick, there was times when Joe Burrows was scrambling. And I know you can't hit the quarterback. And once you go past that line of scrimmage, for me, you should be allowed to treat them as a normal player. But adding Chase Young beside Nick Bosa, beside Eric Armstead, alongside Jalen Hargrave, I mean, already... I am excited. Dan, I will be sending a few of those texts out later. Don't you worry, my friend. As Neil Graham texted me about 10 minutes before we went live, Nick, and went, you and Nick got anything to talk about tonight, Paul? And I texted him back and said, I'm glad I spent my lunch hour today preparing a schedule of what me and Nick were going to talk about. But we roll with the punches on the live on a Tuesday, Nick. That is what we're known best for, buddy.
Very true.
But looking at this now, 5 sacks, as Paul Scrimsaw has said. He's hit the quarterback 14 times to go with his 9 tackles. You put that alongside Nick Bosa. Now, Drake Jackson is a name that I think could be a loser in this trade. Him and Ferrell, that combination has left a lot to be desired. He is a free agent, as we've said. Young, his current cap number is about $5.5 million after the trade. But as we've said there, we don't know at this stage if Washington are going to take some of that back. But we've got a lot of cap space. You know it's a good signing when your Dallas Cowboys friend is texting you saying, you can't afford him next year. You haven't got the cap to keep him next year. And I'm like, hang on, my friends. We'll worry about next year. We'll worry about next year. So
indeed. It's for this year. I mean, it's not like the Cowboys are going to be doing anything this year. We've already broken them.
And I mean, you've said before, you think of the players like Arden Key, Ibukam, who arrived and then got paid because of the production. Our D-line coach, Chris, because I can't pronounce his surname, he is going to be rubbing his hands together. I tweeted out a picture of the Vince McMahon WWE gif of him walking out of the locker room. John Lynch must be imagine walking in that room and saying, all right, Kyle, I've managed to get you an extra piece for that defense. And Kyle's like, come on then, John, who have you got? Oh, just Chase Young, third round pick.
Nothing big.
So Bryant in the house. Don't forget Bryant. 18 days till I get on that plane, fly across the pond. So I'm looking forward to catching up with you in person. Martin, the trade deadline is done, but I believe for the English soccer fans amongst us, it's a bit like the transfer deadline day here, where a deal can be announced after. Is that correct,
Yeah,
Nick?
I believe as long as it's the same in a lot of sports, where as long as both teams show that they have an intent to get the deal done and they can show that it's progressed to a significant level, you can announce slightly after. I'm not sure what the ins and outs are of that, but let's see.
So, so Chris, I know you were very excited, though you did like Alex Simpson's tweet about me going to weddings. You can rest assured, faithful, got no more weddings to go to this year. But if the fact that I went to 3 weddings in a row jinxed the team, then apologies. But
you lost it all, mate. It's all your fault.
What can I say? I even tried, because some may say that I'm superstitious like you, Nick. The last time we had a mini watch party at the casino, we won. In fact, we've won every mini watch party we've had at the casino. So some of my non-Niners friends were like, oh, you're jinxing the team again. But I even tried that to break the jinx. But we needed a lot more of that on Sunday. What I will say, I did see a lot of articles yesterday about a splash trade on defence wasn't going to fix our issues. Those people must be feeling a bit silly now because the Chase Young deal has left me very excited.
It's left me excited, don't get me wrong. I don't think it'll fix every issue that we have. Because signing, we have a major issue in stopping the run, and we had an issue stopping the run. This has been said, obviously, not just by myself, but people who know football far better than I do. We've had an issue stopping the run all year. Even when we rattled off those 5 straight wins, we still were struggling with the run. And Chase Young isn't going to help a massive amount with that. He's going to be more of a pressuring the quarterback on the passing downs. He's not going to solve all issues.
According to what Jesse Naylor has just tweeted out, the Giants had a trade agreed with the 49ers for Adoree Jackson, but it hasn't gone through because it was failed to report to the league in time. Now, Lee, you've got to remember the clock changes because for the eagle-eyed people out there, you'll have noticed that this week I only put the 8 p.m. GMT time because I believe because NFL Sunday started an hour early, there was something with the times, and I'm clutching at straws because our good friend Cubs, who has joined Facebook, who's joined Discord just for us, he thought we were live an hour ago because I saw this comment pop up. So that might have something to do with it. But Adoree Jackson, I'm sure that was a name you mentioned, Nick. Was it last week or the week before?
I don't think he was, in fairness. I think you might be giving me a little bit too much credit there, Paul.
That's what I do, buddy. Martin,
yes, mate.
It's Twitter. It will always be Twitter. And I think we are correct, El Presidente. I think it is the deadline at the moment. Now, yesterday, when the Seahawks traded for the Williams from the Giants, my mate who was a Seahawks fan was like getting a bit giddy. And at the time, I did think, oh, that's a good trade for the Seahawks. Obviously, top of the NFC West at the moment. And the same friend has texted me today after the Chase Young news broke and was like, yeah, you've already won the trade deadline. I'm not even going to talk to you for 24 hours.
Well, in fairness, I mean, I don't think any of us really thought that the Chase was going to be available, especially after they traded Montez Sweat to the Bears. I mean, he's going to be gutted. He left Washington and ended up at the Bears anyway. But I think at that point, no one ever really thought Chase Young would still be available.
No, not after Sweet went. I thought it was going to be one or the other. I didn't think the Commanders were going to go in full tank mode and just say, packet of crisps. There you go, fellas.
Well, this is it. I mean, it did. I'll be honest. After everything with this mystery second player that was being tweeted about, it did make me wonder. It's like, okay, they've been on the phone a lot to the Commanders. Is it Terry McLaurin? It was massively wishful thinking, admittedly, but it's not a bad little player to be able to pop into your offense as well on the quiet.
No, as Alec has put there. So Alex listed what our D-line looks like now. Won't read those names out. You can all read them for yourself. And he follows it up with a, who are you blocking? Neil, I think you'll agree. Quite a good analogy there, Neil, given we're at the casino together on Sunday. This is a push all your chips into the middle of the table move. We're going all in big time. And Rob, let us catch our breath, buddy. I mean, what do we do to fix the offense? We're focusing on the defense at the moment, buddy. But all jokes aside, we will come back to that. I mean, we watched that game on Sunday, Nick, and if the Chase Young news hadn't broke, we have to talk about it. We can't just ignore the fact that it happened. I stayed away from social media in the aftermath. Like I said, I was at the mini watch party on Sunday with seven of us. So I got to kind of talk about my feelings at the time. But how do you feel about the Bengals' performance and what we need to do moving forward?
Oh, we were outplayed. Absolutely out. We were outplayed. We were outcoached. Everything. The Bengals were better at every point during that game. I mean, our defense was woeful once again. Third game in a row now. It really has been pretty awful. One player doesn't fix it. It doesn't. We all know this. There needs to be some modifications. Maybe not wholesale changes. I got a bit upset after the game because it was so bad. But there does need to be some modifications to the scheme. It's not working. You know, the offense was performing so well through the first 5 games. 30 points every game, blowing teams out of the water. They just couldn't keep up. And of course, that put pressure on other teams' offenses, and they started making mistakes. Their defenses were on the field all the time. A lot of this papered over some of the cracks that maybe had been appearing long before this 3-game losing streak. There needs to be some change to the system. There's obviously, we mentioned it last week where Nick Bosa has come out and mentioned towards the fact he doesn't particularly like the system that they're now running, that the defense isn't used to it. They have been playing a very specific system with only minute changes really being made in between Robert Saleh and D'Amico Ryans. Now they've gone with this much bigger change, which seems to have been quite the culture shock amongst the team from the sounds of things. So certainly from the defense side. So maybe we move back towards what D'Amico and Saleh were doing. Not massively. Through the first 5 games, we were generating turnovers. We were generating sacks. I know it wasn't Nick Bosa getting the sacks, but Drake came out of the season like a man out of a cannonball. He was fantastic in that first game. He was the one making up for the fact that Nick wasn't getting the stats. All of that's now fallen away a little bit. Form is dipping, and we're starting to see these cracks widen. And then, of course, the offense was never going to be on fire all year long, which has now put that spotlight back onto those defensive issues. It's actually started to show them up when we weren't looking at them in the first few games.
The reason I asked you the question, Rob, don't worry, buddy, it wasn't a dig. You've been a day one. Trying to stay positive, man after my own heart. We will come back to the offense. The reason I wanted to get Nick's opinion is we do a special segment on this show called Would You Rather? And I'm glad we've got a special guest joining us because it took the pressure. That's right, everybody. I'm building him up. He's not coming on yet. He's looking nervous backstage. He was like, what? He's watching the show backstage. But my would you rather to Steve Wilkes this week, if we had the chance to ask him, was would you rather be stubborn and stick to your scheme, knowing it's not working and not getting the results and becoming the scapegoat? Or would you rather, Steve, just get a meeting with the players, get Kyle Shanahan in and say, right, do what you do best? Because like you've said, they've changed something. All the content creators, all our good friends across the pond have spent hours and hours talking about this. I do think back to when Salah first came in. Yes, his defense wasn't as talented as what Wilkes has got. There was growing pains. I remember the game day threads where people were asking for Salah to be sacked. I remember when Ryans first took over, there was a lot of talk about could he make the necessary adjustments at half time. Those two have been put up on the kind of Mount Rushmore in recent years for us. We all love Robert Saleh. We all love D'Amico Ryans. And Lee Gowland, I'm going to show him up here. He did talk on the pod last night, Nick, about maybe now's a good time to change as defensive coordinator. I would have been surprised if they decided after 8 games to do that. We're 5-3, everybody. The sky isn't falling in. Remember this time last year when we traded for Christian? We were 3-4. And like McCaffrey said, when he walked into the building, there was no panic. And the NFL has a way of humbling people. We were all very giddy after the Dallas game. I love the fact that we live rent-free in people's heads at my flag football team. My Seahawks friend turned up Cleveland Browns hat on 1 week. Last week, had a Seahawks jersey on. And then as we started the warm-up, he lifted that off and he had a Teddy Bridgewater Vikings jersey on. Now, I wouldn't go to that much effort to wear another team's gear.
No.
And that's put a smile on my face. And I'm like, I remember when we went 2-14. We could lose every single game from now till the end of the season, and I'd still be repping the red and gold. I would still be faithful. I'm not criticising anybody for how they do their fandom. But
no, I criticise that.
Going back
Quite
to,
happily.
went down a bit of a rabbit hole there. I think that this signing shows that basically he's got no excuses now. They've given him another Premier piece. I do believe the secondary, I was hoping that we would bring someone in at corner so we could move Lenore back to the nickel, because that worked really well back end of last year, especially in the playoffs. Lenore seemed to come to his own in that position. I know Lee is pinning his hopes on Sammy Womack becoming the saviour of the season. Just catch up on some
I
of the
wonder
comments
why.
there. Alec was after another tight end, maybe to help with the blocking. Yeah, we need to get back to 49ers football, Mr. Simpson. We do need to get back to bullying teams. Rob has put a very good point on there that Salah and D'Amico felt like part of the defence. Wilkes feels disconnected. Now, there's a lot of talk about Wilkes being up in the booth, and I'm not that worried about that at the moment, but there definitely seems to be a lack of energy in this team. I'm a little bit concerned, Nick, that Carl Shanahan has come out and said he's gone back and reviewed the game tape. We looked tired. We looked off the pace, which is a bit of a worry. But then you could argue bye week is a good week to have. Think back to last year. The Chiefs came into Levi's, did very similar to us, what the Bengals did. And if you're going to lose in that magnitude to the likes of Joe Burrows, Patrick Mahomes. But I agree with Steph Sanchez. I can't be too nice to other teams because I'm sick of being nice. I was nice about Kirk Cousins. I was nice about Blum and the Browns' defense. I was nice about Joe Burrows. But, like Alex Simpson said there, we need to get back to bullying teams. Would you agree, Nick?
Oh, of course, that's what we all want. Let's get back to winning games by 20, 30 points. Let's get back to putting 40 and chanting we want 50 by halfway through the third quarter. We all want that. It's very difficult to do. It does. I have become a bit more worried the last week or so, especially more so after the last game. Have the defense has the league figured out our defense? There is that much more of it on tape now. Do they know how to plan against it, etc.? I mean, when you come sort of getting back to bullying on offense, we are missing the best left tackle in the league. Now that's going to make an impact. There isn't a single team in this entire league that isn't worse for losing a Trent Williams. There isn't another team in the league that isn't worse for losing a Deebo Samuel. Because once you have those in there, it just opens up so many things. Deebo can line up as the running back in the backfield alongside CMC, or he can come around on a cheeky little jet sweep or even a little reverse. It makes you have to think about a lot more things when you have that available to you. It does seem to have taken a lot out of the Niners losing these two players. When you look at our running stats to the left against the Bengals, our running stats were terrible. A lot of what was happening is of our own making. As much as the Bengals outplayed us in every facet of that game, they weren't spectacular. But I thought by the end of it, maybe the scoreline flattered them ever so slightly because they did, they ran away with it towards that fourth quarter. But for a large chunk of that game, we were in it. There were possibilities had we played better. Yeah, it wasn't to be.
I mean, when you watch football live, I think for our friends across the pond, we don't get the opportunity to watch many games in a sports bar together. And that effectively is what I did on Sunday. I had El Presidente beside me, had the rest of the lads who joined us. And we were watching the game, and when it was like 17-10, and we'd kind of got the ball back, and we marched up the field, if we punched that in, got 17-all, the momentum changes. And that's what I was trying to say to people, don't panic. Now, our special guest, eagle-eyed, my jersey behind me, that number 10 was hung up as a joke for Halloween. But equally, for those people out there who are saying Brock Purdy needs to go, cast your mind back to the QB play we've had previously. Now, we're not known on this show for flip-flopping. Now, neither me or Nick have said Brock Purdy is elite, but we're excited by what this lad brings to our offense. Some of those off-script plays on Sunday, he kept players alive with his legs, which is what all 49ers fans have been crying out for. It's what we thought Trey Lance was going to do. The throw to McCaffrey in the end zone across his body. Yes, Nadji, I know you don't like it. Got me excited.
No, I'm not going to lie. I nearly evacuated my bowels. I did, because that ball was not looking pretty. And it's the one thing, even as a Brit coming into flag later, I didn't start really playing until I was 31. Even I know you don't want to see your quarterback throwing across his body, across the field. And it was an ugly looking pass. I did. I was up. I think I was levitating. Levitating. Yeah, levitating.
Easy for a Welshman to say. I think
I was levitating slightly above my sofa, worrying that I may soil that particular surface. Because it looked horrible. I was waiting for a Bengal to come and grab that. That terrified me.
Yeah, but what I mentioned about that though, Nick, Jimmy probably would have took the sack or would have thrown it away. And if you're going to take those chances, Patrick Mahomes takes those chances, Josh Allen takes those chances, and they're replayed on Good Morning Football over and over again. But it's that kind of quarterback play that excites us. As Rob has put there, if that shovel pass worked, he's playing like Mahomes, and it didn't. Now, I said a couple of weeks ago, I'm ever the optimist when it comes to the 49ers. I always try and look on the bright side of life. And maybe we needed to face this adversity now. Maybe we needed to see how the team can bounce back. As the 406 to Rice, love that Twitter name is put there, we'll get back to basics of what we do on both offense and defense. We'll finish strong. What equally as well I want to say to people is we've been here before. This time last year, the sky was falling in when we went into the bye week after the Chiefs had handed it to us. The year when it absolutely poured it down when we got beat by the Colts, and I think we went 3-5 at that stage of the season. We brought it back. We put a run together. Kyle Shanahan knows what he needs to do. Paul Ramsey has joined us and put there that Brock had to take some chances towards the end due to the D getting picked apart. There were some bad throws, but he's prepared to take them, as Jimmy wouldn't. Now, before we get the special guest on, George Kittle said it better than me and you can, Nick, at his press conference when I think Matt Miyoko asked him, what's going wrong. And he said, we're not running the ball. When we're not running the ball and we're chasing the game when you're in 1st and 20 because of the penalties or 3rd and long, you have to throw the ball more. And when you throw the ball more, you become one-dimensional. And he said that's what we saw on Sunday. Add into the penalties, add into the missed tackles. It's things that are correctable. It's not like me and you have come on this show tonight and we want to burn it all down. We're excited. Now, there are some fans out there not excited by the Chase Young news because I think they expected some help in the secondary. Now, before we get the guest on, I just want to say, Christian McCaffrey, I love that man. Another touchdown.
It's a surprise.
Another touchdown. My 23 jersey is looking like an astute purchase at the moment. Brad has joined us there. He wishes Brock had run out of bounds when he missed the handoff, even if he threw it away. But they're the kind of things that he needed to learn. Now, is there anything else that you want to mention about the Bengals game before we move on and get our special guest on? Because I know he's dying to join us.
I will leave this week. I think for 1 week, I won't complain about the horrific refereeing decisions.
No. And Club 85, George Kittle, I think is the leading reception tight end for the 49ers. Don't have the stats. I just saw the tweet. Now, I'm bigging this guest up. Martin or Dawn want to know the special guest is either our marathon man or our photographer. Now, the marathon man is still recovering, so I can confirm it's not Gary. Our photographer has already been on. Now, some of you may know tonight's guest as he who enters all the raffles and wins all your prizes.
Wins everything.
So, what better way to introduce Kev Pittman to the stage?
Hey! Happy day, Kev.
Evening, gents. I had to move location. My Wi-Fi wasn't working in my office, so I had to come into my kitchen.
See, I thought you were moving because you didn't want to show off all the goodies from said raffles and get people booing at the screen. But jokes aside, mate, we do appreciate you joining us. It definitely
worries.
takes the load off me and Nick. But before we delve into the Would You Rather, because I know me and Nick are very worried about this at the moment, what are your thoughts on the Chase Young trade? Excited? Or are you just a little bit like, nah?
Yeah, no, I think yeah, I am excited. I think if anything for last year with the CMC trade, it's something to get excited about. It's at the end of the season, if it doesn't work out, we don't re-sign him. We get that sort of like compensatory pick back. So we're going all in really for it. So I'm happy. It doesn't resolve the issues further down the field, but or behind the defensive line. So that's still a bit of a worry, but hopefully that'll free up some chances for Nick Bosa to be able to get some sacks now and free up other people. So that can only be good news, really.
So Martin has joined in with a comment there. All right, Kev. And he's given you some praise there. An equally esteemed guest. Now, I'd built you up that much, Kev, that someone thought Tom Hanks was joining us. But I'd rather have you on the
Sadly
show,
not.
Kev.
Always.
Sadly not, mate. Sadly not.
Now,
Well, I have it on good authority that Kev can play the piano with his feet. So.
Well, I was going to say, Kev,
I can do it twice. I've done
missed you at the London watch party. And then I thought, when am I next going to get to see Kev in person? And then I remembered when I was putting some stuff on the calendar today, you will be one of the 39 flying out across the pond to the gold mine. I believe you'll be joining my colleague Nick on the same flight out there. Is that right?
Yeah, I think there's 4 of us on the same flight. But yeah, that's true. Flying out on the Friday, watching the game with him back on the Monday. It'll be the first time I've ever been to Levi's. So yeah, very excited. It's all sort of like now you're getting all the tickets come through for the flights and everything. It's starting to set in now that it's actually happening. So yeah. That should be some experience.
So for those people
that
were saying about the weddings, next home game, there's me, Nick, Kev, and 1 or 2 others. As I said, 38, 39 of us flying across. So Levi's is going to be awesome. Now, Kev, you know how this works. Would you rather? Yep. My good friend Nick is normally evil to me. So we've had to outsource because I'm getting upset too easily, Kev. When we finish the show, I always have to cry on Tracy's shoulder because he's just that mean to me. But
it's lies, people. Don't
I am a bit nervous of what you've got for us. So come on, tell us what you've got for me and Nick.
Okay, well, so hopefully it's not too bad, fellas. But so this is for the gold mine trip. So this is a would you rather for that. So would you rather the 49ers win convincingly against the Buccaneers when we go out, but they don't make the playoffs? Or would you rather they lose, but guaranteed to make the Super Bowl?
I think we lost you there, Kev. Thanks.
Thanks for joining. I'll see you. I'm going to have you removed from the flight.
Wow.
You won't be coming into the lounge. I will be getting barred.
So Alex Simpson, we didn't think somebody would be able to top that level of evilness, but Kev Pittman has come and he's thrown that one over.
I'm only saying it because I'm going for my first ever game, and yeah, it's one that I've sort of wrestled with all day.
Well, if we lose, Twitter will melt down and it'll be the UK faithful's fault for being out there. But the caveat that I'm hanging on to is the fact that you said Super Bowl. I think when you make it to the Super Bowl, obviously you go back through the season and you look at the games, but that's what the NFL is set up for. I was talking to some friends at work last week and I was saying it's not like soccer when you've got the Premier League, the FA Cup, the Champions League. Literally, there's 32 teams and the goal is the Super Bowl. That said, I want us to win. My first ever time at Levi's.
Exactly.
I want the win. But because you've mentioned the Super Bowl, I'm going to take the Super Bowl option and then hand you over to Nick and see what Nick has to say.
Well,
For that, I'm not going to lie to you, Kev. I'm going to be really quite blunt with this. I want you all to watch a loss. All right. If at the end of the day, I went out, my first game was a loss. Your first game will be a loss in that scenario.
Okay.
I dragged myself 6,500 miles to watch the 49ers lose to the Seahawks on Monday Night Football in overtime, nonetheless, for my first game at Levi's. And for that, yeah, you can watch a loss, my friend. And considering we're sharing a room, I may be farting quite a lot in my sleep as well.
I might have to put a pillow over your head.
I'll be sleeping with my eyes open then.
I mean, Lee said last night, Kev, that I think it was he saw 3 losses before his first one. And I know my non-Niners friends would take great delight if the Niners lose. For some reason this year, they've really got to be in the bonnet about how great our football team is and how amazing we play. And I just laugh it off. I don't know whether they keep upping the ante every week because they've tried with the jinxes, they've tried with the watch party rubbish, they've tried with me going to the weddings. I sold the gold mine to Tracy as a once in a lifetime because for me, not only am I going for my first ever time, but I'm going with people I consider to be good friends, people who I've shared memories with prior to this trip. So regardless of what happens on the day, I do want to see a win. But I was going to say it's not often that I'm lost for words, but as soon as those words came out of your mouth, I was thinking, shall I just kick him off here? I should kick him off the street. James Waters will also be joining us on his first visit to the Levi's. He's on the 11:05 flight from Heathrow, the same as me and about 28 others. Yeah. Don't think British Airways fully know what's going on.
Do they have enough alcohol on that flight?
Well, Brett Sinclair's on our flight, so I don't think they've got enough for Brett, no.
Have they stocked up on Fireball?
Oh, not for me. Not for me.
If they're watching, they'd be probably just better off just not having it on the flight.
So, Kev, I wasn't going to be nasty to you before I let you go, but after that, right? So, I want you to give us a bold prediction from now until the end of the season. And I'm talking bold. I don't just want something bland. I want you on the spot now to give me and Nick and these good people at home on a Tuesday Kev Pippin's bold prediction between now and the end of the season.
That's a horrible.
It's a horrible. Someone put you on the spot.
It's not nice, isn't it?
Isn't it?
It's really horrible when people do that, Kev.
No, it's not the greatest. CMC to get 1,000 rushing yards and 1,000 receiving yards.
Wow, I like that. Now 406 to Rice. I'll have to say no because my budget definitely wouldn't stretch to a Super Bowl trip to Vegas. So the
unless someone else is paying.
Yeah, El Presidente might be out there. So the gold mine is fan chapter invite section at Levi Stadium, which we've been fortunate enough for the Buccaneer game to take over. So it will be the 49erFaithful UK in that chapter on the Buccaneers home game. All very excited. As I've said to Nick with my million questions, I want to do everything, Kev. I want to do the museum. I want to do the club shop. I want to meet up with many people that I've connected with on Twitter. The only downside, for want of a better word, of the gold mine is we're not allowed to tailgate beforehand. So I'm going to have to kind of arrange to meet up with the likes of John Chapman and others. Top Hat Debbie has reached out. I'll have to try and fit that in around, but we land on the Friday. I don't fly home till a Tuesday. It's going to be action-packed. Possibly Stanford game, Niners game, definitely the Warriors game on the Monday night. I want to get to Golden Gate Bridge. I want to kind of get my tourist stuff done at the same time. Paul has jumped in with a bold prediction there. CMC to score
like that.
And every game left. But Kev, I'm going to let you go back to your evening, buddy. Thank you for joining us tonight. Any final thoughts, Nick?
I'd say I love you and leave you, but I hope your milk's gone off for your coffee in the morning.
Well, I will see you in 18 days' Nick. Time, buddy.
Fine,
and
mate.
if I don't see you,
I'll see you at Heathrow, Nick.
I will see you in California.
I'll be there waiting.
Will do, gents. See them.
Nick, all is forgiven, buddy. All is forgiven.
Why did you do that? Paul, goodness me.
Brad, we're not able to join
Yeah, we're
Chapman
not
at his
allowed.
tailgate because we have to be at the stadium for 10, I believe.
Yeah, we have to
go.
be in early because they've got safety briefs and everything like that. And because of the way the whole thing works, we don't actually physically have a ticket. So if we leave, we can't get back in. So once we're in, we're in. It's as simple as that. But at the end of the day, there's going to be plenty of chance to meet up and say hi to people at the end of the game. You know, there's obviously going to be a lot of people getting on the light rail to go home, getting in their cars. There's nothing to say we can't hang around and wait for a lot of that to die down a bit before we attempt our journey back up to San Francisco. So
I have
plenty of time to see people.
I have reached out to John, Brad. He is aware that we're in the gold mine. He knows how it works. If you caught the live from the London watch party, I'm coming for a bear hug off Chapman. Don't worry. I want to try and meet up with as many people. I know Brian Culp, there's another one that wants to join and meet up. Now, Nick, before we shoot off, we do need to talk. I want to put something out there about Brock Purdy. I saw a tweet yesterday from one of the many content creators that I follow. And it was about, can we not have a referendum every time we talk about Brock Purdy? It doesn't have to be, where does he sit in the 32 QBs in the league? Can't we just talk about our quarterback after a game? Analyse what was good, analyse what was bad. And I just wanted to get your thoughts on there because, as I said, we're not known for flip-flopping on this show. I'm going to say this out loud. And Ted, you need to jump off the Brock Express, because when you jumped on the Brock Express, buddy, it's not me going to weddings. It's not me going to watch parties. It's Ted Talks Ball giving Brock the seal of approval. But all jokes aside, Nick, where do you stand on this? Because I kind of thought we had our guy, and then
I still think we
crown him too early. But obviously, I do think it is fair to talk about the fact that there's interceptions have crept into his game, and I just wanted to get your take on it before we finish.
That's fine, tonight. But that can be really easily answered. He's thrown less interceptions than three of the best quarterbacks in the league. Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, and Josh Allen have all thrown eight interceptions. Purdy's thrown less. So do you know what? I'll take that. He's thrown less than three of the best quarterbacks in the league. Brock Purdy is still playing at a pretty damn good level, considering how little time he has spent in this league. I'm still very much on board the Brock Express. I still very much expect him to become one of the better quarterbacks in this league for many years to come. In fact, I was mightily impressed by... do you see Kyle Brandt's costume this morning? I thought... Purdy was brilliant. I wish I'd
tweeted that out, because I knew he was going to talk. I knew he was going to do something Brock Purdy. We are going to spend some time on Brock, don't worry. So Purdy doesn't throw another pick the rest of the way. Has a couple of fumbles lost, would be nice. Rob's picked up there. He's basically a first-year rookie.
Exactly.
Our special guest, who we haven't banned yet, he's close. Interceptions have crept in when chasing the game. Mahomes had the flu, so it doesn't count. I like the irony there, Rob. Now, before anyone starts clipping this and saying 49erFaithful UK are off the Brock Express, we're not.
No.
Brock Purdy's worst game is still better than a certain quarterback's career average. When I say a certain quarterback, I'm not trying to hate on Jimmy, but when you look at the stats and you look at the box score, Brock had a very similar game to what we've seen him have since he came into our team, Nick. Like you said, some of the interceptions can be explained when you're chasing the game. I think, this 49ers team is built to run the ball. It's not run to be pass heavy. And again, we saw on Sunday, when you're one-dimensional, I don't care who your quarterback is, your team's going to struggle. And like you said, Deebo Samuel was missing, Trent Williams was missing. Now, these aren't excuses. At this stage of the season in the NFL, there's injuries. You mentioned Chase Young and the Achilles. Just wanted to say Kirk Cousins, wish him a speedy recovery. Obviously, any NFL player suffering an Achilles injury, it's got my obvious interest. I know how hard it is to come back from that. I did think it's pretty amazing. Aaron Rodgers, I don't know if you've seen, he was on the field the other night.
Insanely fast. That's incredible.
Passes.
He's got a lot of money at his disposal to get that fixed, though. A lot more than we do, in fairness.
I mean, the National Health Service in this country did a good job putting me back together within 7 months. And I'll take that at 43 years of age, back playing flag football.
Sure.
Not comparing myself to an elite quarterback, but I'm still saying that Brock Purdy is the man. And I just want to kind of tell people stop to panic.
Be fine.
Sorry, Rob. I have to mention the name. He suffered a horrific injury. But, and as Rob put there, I saw this talk yesterday about Trey Lance. Unfortunately, that's done. He plays for the Dallas Cowboys.
Not a Niner anymore. Don't care.
Not a Niner.
He's not one of ours. No, he's gone. He's gone. He's not coming back. So there's no point. There's no point thinking about it at all. The only quarterbacks I care about are the ones on the roster, and there's only one I want seeing the field.
Yeah. So the bye week has come at a good time for us. We will be back next Tuesday, as always, to talk all things Niners. We're not letting you go just yet. Me and Nick are not quite ready to finish off there. But given that it is a bye week, what we probably will do is you may cast your minds back to when me and Nick did a rather ridiculous early season prediction, and we went through the games, Nick.
Yeah, we did.
Win, loss. We couldn't do a bit of a mini state of the franchise. So we will be back next week.
Absolutely.
If anybody is watching, would like to come on and do a Would You Rather and be less evil than Kev Pippin, who was still backstage, we would appreciate that. Because all jokes aside, it does take some of the workload off me and Nick. And
it's always nice to hear from you guys.
So, as Brad says there, this is Brock's first full season. He's constantly making very tough precision throws. Picks are going to happen anytime you throw from behind. The bye week has hit at the perfect time. There was a comment that I saw here from Rick Diaz. Are you guys happy for the pick that we got? Yes or no? Because I'm not very happy. So if you're meaning Chase Young, yeah, we're very happy.
I'm happy with it. Decent player.
Yeah, I was going to say everyone's entitled to their opinion. What I was going to say, Nick, before we finish off. Now, you may know that the YouTube thumbnails is not my strong point because our thumbnail for a Tuesday isn't very good. Now, me and Nick do have an idea of a better one. I'm just not very good at creating graphics. So we've got a rather wonderful picture of me and Nick stood with London Bridge behind us, Tower Bridge behind us, sorry, Lee, holding a flag. And I would like to turn that into a thumbnail. So if anybody watching knows of anybody who can assist, if you point them in our direction, it would be much appreciated. I know it's a cheeky ask, but sometimes if you don't ask, you don't get. So I thought, whilst we've got people's attention, I would put that out there. Now, Nick, is there anything else you want to talk about before we let these good people finish the rest of their evening on this side of the pond and the rest of their afternoon across the pond? I'm getting good at this. We're
getting there. We're getting there slowly but surely. No, again, guys, we just want to say thank you all for tuning in. I mean, remember, it is a bye week. We now have 2 weeks. The team, I suppose, has 2 weeks to sit back and really take stock. And I'm sure that's exactly what they're going to do. We are still in positive yards. We are still doing better than a whole host of other teams. And we're still doing a whole lot better than we've done in previous years. There's no need to be down too much. Losing sucks. There's nothing to say we won't go on another big winning streak, and it won't start again the moment this bye week is done. We can do this. This team is still going to the playoffs. This team can still go to the Super Bowl and can still win it all. Number 6 is still there for us. We can be upbeat about this, even though it has been a bit rough of late. But again, thank you all for watching. Please hit that like and subscribe button. Leave a cheeky little comment for us. It does help us. It really does. It means the world. I know we say it a lot, but thank you all very much. Paul, anything else, mate?
Stay safe, faithful. Remember, we're winning that Super Bowl because my good friend Nick Ludlam told you so. But on that note, Nick, I think all we can say to these people is go Niners.
Go Niners, baby.
We love the San Francisco 49ers deep in our heart. Like Joe Montana in the corner, G. Clark, Garrison Hurst, Stiff Farm going 99. Don't get it twisted.